Welcome to WikiPodcast.
Great to be here.
Today we're diving deep into Sikhism, exploring this really fascinating faith through the lens of one God, one humanity, one sword.
That's a powerful theme. And our main source is the Wikipedia page on Sikhism, which gives us a lot to work with.
Yeah, exactly. We want to unpack the essentials, the origins, key beliefs, the history that shaped it all, give you a clear picture.
Sounds good. Where should we start? Maybe the name itself.
Good idea. So Sikh, what's the story there?
Well, Sikh comes from the Punjabi word Sikhi, and it basically means student or disciple.
Ah, so it's about learning, a journey.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It implies this ongoing path of learning. It's not static. And this all kicked off in the Punjab region, India, around the 15th, 16th centuries.
With Guru Nanak as the founder?
That's right, Guru Nanak. And, some Sikhs actually prefer the term Sikhi instead of Sikhism.
Oh, why is that?
They feel Sikhism sounds a bit too much like a fixed ideology, maybe something coined during the British colonial era. Sikhi captures more that fluid philosophical journey,
I see. That makes sense. A path of learning. So Guru Nanak starts this path. What were the absolute core ideas he brought forward?
The absolute foundation is the belief in one God.
Ik Onkar.
Ik Onkar.
Yes. But it's not just monotheism in a simple sense. It's also panentheistic.
Panentheistic, meaning God is in everything as well as beyond it.
Exactly. The one supreme being, the eternal reality, the creator, but also simultaneously present within creation, all-encompassing.
Wow.
And the name they often use for God is Wahiguru.
Wahiguru, what does that translate to?
It means something like wondrous teacher or wondrous enlightener. It really captures that sense of awe.
And this God, Wahiguru, is understood as
Yeah.
beyond our usual concept.
Absolutely. Described as Nirankar shapeless, Akal timeless, Kartapurak the creator being, Akal Purk beyond time and death, and Agaman Gochar incomprehensible, invisible. That profound sense of God being in everything. That must tie directly into the one humanity part of our theme.
It flows directly from it, yeah. There's a beautiful line in the scripture, Uknu te sab jagapjia.
Which means?
From the one light, the entire universe welled up. It's a core statement about the divine unity and therefore the fundamental equality of all people.
So, not just a nice idea, but a foundational belief.
Definitely. And Guru Nanak actively challenged things like the caste system. He put this equality into practice.
Like with the langar, the communal kitchen.
Exactly. That's a perfect example. Everyone sits together, eats together, same food, same level, no distinctions. It embodies that equality.
And Sikhism doesn't claim to be the only way, does it?
No, it rejects the idea that any single religion has a monopoly on truth. Sikhs generally don't proselytize. They don't actively seek converts.
So people can join if they feel drawn to it.
Oh, absolutely. Voluntary converts are welcome. The focus is more on living the principles.
Which brings us to that connection between belief and action. It seems really strong in Sikhism.
It's central. There's a huge emphasis on matching your spiritual growth with how you actually behave every day. Ethical conduct is key.
Is there a saying about that?
Yes, Guru Nanak said, truth is the highest virtue, but higher still is truthful living.
Truthful living. So it's about integrity, applying the truth in your actions.
Exactly, walking the talk, essentially.
Now, you mentioned Guru Nanak, but there were 10 gurus in total. Why 10?
Yes, 10 human gurus, from Guru Nanak starting around 1469 up to Guru Gobind Singh in 1708. It was a lineage.
What was the role of this lineage?
Each guru essentially reinforced and built upon the message of the previous ones. It was like constructing a solid spiritual building layer by layer over about 200 years.
And it ended with Guru Gobind Singh.
It did. And he made a really significant declaration. He established the Guru Granth Sahib, the Sikh scripture, as the final perpetual guru for all Sikhs.
So the authority passed from human guides to the scripture itself.
Precisely. The Guru Granth Sahib is revered as the living guru, the ultimate spiritual guide and authority.
That's fascinating. Tell us more about the Guru Granth Sahib. It sounds incredibly important.
It really is the heart of the faith. It's written in the Gurmukhi script. And what's quite unique is its content.
How so?
Well, it contains the writings of 7 of the Sikh gurus, but also hymns and teachings from Hindu and Muslim saints. They're called Vigats.
Wow, including figures from other faiths.
Yes. It really underscores that Sikh idea of one God being known through different names and paths. It emphasizes universal truths.
And it's set to music, I read.
That's right. The hymns, the Gurbani, are composed in classical Indian musical modes called ragas. Music is integral to worship.
Is the Guru Granth Sahib the only key text?
It's the primary scripture. Sometimes you hear Adi Granth, which technically refers to the earlier version compiled by Guru Arjan in 1604. The Guru Granth Sahib is the final, complete version. There are other texts like the Dasam Granth and Sarblo Granth, which are important to many Sikhs, but they don't have the same universal scriptural status as the Guru Granth Sahib.
Okay. And there's also something called the Akal Takht.
Ah, yes, the Akal Takht, meaning throne of the timeless one. It was established by the sixth Guru, Guru Hargobind. It functions as the supreme temporal seat, a center for guidance and decision-making for the global Sikh community.
So you have the spiritual guidance from the Guru Granth Sahib and this temporal authority center.
Exactly. It reflects a balance.
So for someone living the Sikh way of life, what does that look like practically? What are the core practices?
There are three key pillars, often summarized as Nam Japo, Kirat Karo, and Vanchaku.
Let's break those down. Nam Japo.
That's remembering the divine name, Waheguru. It involves meditation, contemplation, repeating the name of practice called Simran, connecting with the divine internally.
Oh, okay. Kirat Kara.
That means earning an honest living, emphasis on hard work, ethical labor, contributing productively.
And Vanchaku.
Sharing with others, giving to the needy, sharing your resources, time, and energy within the community. This is often expressed through seva, selfless service. It can be physical service, pan, mental service like sharing knowledge, man, or material service, sharing wealth.
And the Langar we mentioned earlier feels like a perfect example of Vanchaku and Seva in action.
Absolutely. It embodies equality, sharing, and community service all at once. It's fundamental.
You also see Sikhs with distinct articles of faith, right? The 5Ks.
Yes, for initiated Sikhs, those who have become part of the Khalsa order, there are the 5Ks.
Can you remind us what they are?
Sure. Kish, uncut hair, covered usually by a turban. Kara, a steel bracelet. Kirpan, a ceremonial sword or dagger. Kanga, a wooden comb. And Kachera, specific cotton undergarments.
And these aren't just symbols, they have deeper meanings.
Oh, definitely. Each carries significant spiritual and historical meaning, reinforcing Sikh identity, discipline, and commitment. They are articles of faith.
And prayer is obviously important too.
Yes, Ardas is the common Sikh prayer. It's performed regularly during daily life and at ceremonies, connecting the individual and the community to God.
This brings us to the historical context and the third part of our theme, the one sword. It sounds like Sikhism faced some really difficult periods.
It absolutely did. The faith developed during times of significant religious tension and persecution, particularly under the Mughal Empire in India.
That must have deeply impacted the community.
Immensely. Tragically, two of the gurus themselves were martyred. Guru Arjan, the fifth guru, and Guru Tegh Bahadur, the ninth guru.
Margaret, why?
They were tortured and executed for refusing to convert to Islam and for standing up for religious freedom, not just for Sikhs, but for others too.
That's incredible courage, and this persecution led to changes within Sikhism.
Yes, it was a major catalyst. It led directly to the formation of the Khalsa by the 10th guru, Guru Gobind Singh, in 1699.
The Khalsa, what exactly is that?
It's an order, a community of initiated Sikhs, conceived as Sant Sipari, saint soldiers.
Saint soldiers, what does that mean?
It means combining spiritual devotion, the saint aspect, with the willingness and duty to protect freedom of conscience and religion, the soldier aspect, to stand up against tyranny and injustice.
So this is where the one sword, the Kirpan, comes in. It's tied to the Khalsa.
Exactly. The Kirpan, one of the 5Ks, symbolizes this duty to uphold righteousness and justice. But it's crucial to understand its meaning.
It's not about aggression.
Not at all. It represents the responsibility to defend the defenseless, to stand for justice, but explicitly only as a last resort when all peaceful means have failed.
So it's a symbol of principled action, not violence for its own sake.
Precisely. It reflects the doctrine of Miri Piri, the balance of temporal, Miri, and spiritual Piri authority and responsibility that Guru Hargobind, the sixth guru, really emphasized. You need both worldly engagement and spiritual depth.
And joining the Khalsa involves a specific ceremony.
Yes, the Amrit Sanskar, the initiation ceremony. It signifies a kind of rebirth, a deep commitment to the Sikh principles, including the readiness to defend justice.
This emphasis on justice nyaya, you called it, seems really central.
It is an attack on dharam, which means righteousness, moral order. One's faith is seen as something that requires a response, a defense. Justice is paramount.
And does this focus on equality and justice extend to gender as well?
Very much so. Sikh scripture doesn't discriminate based on gender. Women are seen as equals, and historically they've played significant roles, even in leadership and on the battlefield.
It's quite remarkable how these principles forged centuries ago in Punjab, how they've spread. Where are Sikh communities mainly found today?
Well, today there are around 25 to 30 million Sikhs globally. The majority still reside in Punjab, India, which remains the heartland.
But there's a large diaspora, too.
Oh yes, significant and vibrant communities exist worldwide, particularly in places like Canada, the UK, the United States, Australia. It's truly a global faith now.
You mentioned Punjab. The partition of India in 1947 must have been devastating for the Sikh community.
It was profoundly traumatic. Punjab was split between India and the newly formed Pakistan. This divided the Sikh population, led to massive violence, displacement. Millions lost their homes, their lives. The repercussions are still felt very deeply.
What a difficult history intertwined with such profound spiritual teachings.
Indeed. That combination of deep spirituality, the one God, the focus on truthful living, service, and the historical necessity of standing up for justice. The one sword, it shapes the Sikh identity.
Thinking back on everything, this idea of one God, one humanity, one sword really does seem to capture the essence, doesn't it? The unity of the divine, the equality of all people, and the responsibility to protect those values.
It does. And that ideal of the Sant Sipahi, the saint soldier, it's a compelling vision. It suggests that deep inner spirituality isn't separate from active engagement in the world, from striving for a just and compassionate society. They go hand in hand.
It really leaves you thinking about that balance, doesn't it? How do you cultivate inner peace and spiritual connection while also facing the injustices of the world and feeling a responsibility to act?
It's a question Sikhism grapples with directly. And perhaps it's a question relevant for all of us, How do we live our values authentically in a complex world? What does truthful living mean when faced with difficult realities?
A powerful thought to reflect on.
Definitely.
Thanks for listening. Write us in the comments your opinion on the episode and what other topics you would like us to talk about. Subscribe to the channel to help us reach more listeners. Thank you, and have an amazing day.